Welcome back, y'all. Today we're going to be building GPTception or Inception. We're going to be building a GPT that is fine-tuned for creating GPTs. So in today's video, you're going to see how I prompt engineer the GPT in order to achieve this, so you can kind of understand for maybe other context of how to talk to the GPT for whatever the use case may be. But on top of that, you can go ahead and check out the description down below. The GPT link is going to be there. You can use it obviously for completely free and start building out GPTs that are lasered in for whatever the use case may be. Now, I want to be very clear here. I'm going to proctor this GPT to not only handle the ability to find you data files, but also handle the ability to start helping you code with the custom actions that require API calls. This is going to be a very helpful video in any context you want to create a GPT. If you have little to no coding experience, you can start leveraging this free tool here. Now, give credit where credit's due. I got this idea from my guy, Gross1. That's his name. I'm not making fun of him or anything, as you see here. But essentially, from the one that I was talking about, no auth actions for the GPT here, he pointed out that during the video, he had made a GPT builder assistant. And I was like, wow, that's actually really smart. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for y'all so we can kind of have like a shared one with this community we're building here. And we're going to go ahead and do it together here. So I'm going to go ahead and jump back over here and let's go ahead and create this GPT. So the use case of the GPT here, as we have described, is we're going to basically try to leverage everything that's involved with this interface. So I'm going to go ahead and jump back over. I'm going to jump in the middle here. I'm going to go ahead and enable web browsing, data image creation, and code interpreter. So let's just get everything enabled off the bat here. And we're going to go ahead and start like this. So the first thing I want to do is I want to give context of what even a GPT is. And the best way to do that is we're going to use OpenAI's resources. Now, before I show you how to do that, which is very powerful, for all the new viewers that are coming in here, let me reintroduce myself here. My name is Corbin. I'm a full stack AI engineer. The purpose of my videos is to give you actual pragmatic ways to start leveraging artificial intelligence in this new age, either for your personal or business life. I have over like 1,000 videos on this topic, on all different topics. So you can go ahead and check us out here. So make sure to subscribe so you are in tune and you actually get real advice here. And I'm not just throwing a random B-roll at you. But coming over to Google search here, here is something very powerful for you to understand. We know that currently GPT and OpenAI is trained up to April of 2023. At the point of April of 2023, GPTs didn't exist. So the way we train, or the way we kind of catch up a model in order for us to like get up to recent data, is we use their web browsing feature. But specifically because we're using the context of we're building out a GPT to build out GPTs, we're going to basically enlighten GPT that you even exist. So we're going to go over to an article talking about GPT here. So we're going to go over to introducing GPTs here. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy the link of this article. I'm going to come back over here and we're going to say, hello, today. Okay, we're actually going to do this. Your purpose is to help me build other GPTs. Here is a article that explains what a GPT is from OpenAI. I'm going to put the article in, and as we know, this has the ability to do web browsing here, and that's fantastic. So it looks like it's just lost. Let me go ahead and reload this real quick. Okay, so let's go ahead. It should enable the web browsing feature. It might not show that on the front end here, but as you see, it's updating a GPT. And just to get really crazy here, I'm like, by the way, you are a GPT as well. And let's go ahead and let this go ahead and load this new data here. Okay, so as you see here, most stuff when it comes to GPTs does get autofilled, but there is going to be certain value points that we want to ensure that this GPT helps us out with. And the first one, let's go ahead and establish, is the knowledge base. So let's go and do that. We're going to say GPTs have a lot of capabilities. Let's first start by fine-tuning ours to help users find relevant knowledge files, e.g. PDFs, Excels, etc. for their specific GPT use case. I'm going to say the way I want you to handle this is when a user requests to do a certain function or certain task for their GPT, we will use your web browsing feature to find free and downloadable files that can help. Let's just start here. We're gonna start broad. We're gonna fine tune this. We're probably gonna have to come back, go back forth, see how it goes. Let's start here, as I want to also give the ability for code interpretation and stuff of this nature. But we're going to start with this foot. Okay, so as you saw here, we kind of had, it was already in a good direction, but that kind of messed it up a little. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, take a step back. We still want we still want your purpose to be to help create other GPTs. We just want you to use the web browsing feature in this context to help us find supporting documents that will make the GPT more effective. So in this use case, I typically don't do this in prompt engineering, but because we're kind of communicating in a one-on-one dialogue, what I can do here is I'm going to give an example. I'm going to say, so for example, if I was creating I need to do a word per minute. You know those websites where you do word per minute? See, like if you get to like 200 words per minute. So for example, if I was creating a GPT for fitness, you would find supporting PDFs that had workout plans or nutrition. See if you can understand this a little bit. I'm gonna hit enter here and kind of proceed from this. Okay, perfect. So before we keep jumping into this, I'm gonna go ahead and test it out real quick. We're gonna say, and let's just see how it kind of responds. I want to move me real quick. Okay, so I want to create a GPT with the purpose of being a personal trainer. Let's just start something broad here. Let's see what it kind of proceeds from here. Okay, creating a GPT for specialized personal training adventure. This GPT would ideally provide fitness advice, workout plans. Okay. All right, so notice how when it's answering, it's like telling me to do stuff. I don't want to do stuff. I want you to do it for me, right? So I'm going to go ahead and stop this output here. So it does know its overall arching use case, but it's providing me a response like this. I don't like this. So I'm going to go to say, look for comprehensive guides or databases. Okay, so, all right. Oh, let me jump back over to here. Okay, so, all right, so we tested you out and you gave a response like this for personal trainer. Notice how you are telling me to look for the resources. We want you to look for all relevant information using your web browsing capability. If there is issues with finding pertinent information, point us in the right direction. Boom. Okay, let's see what it comes up with here now. All right, so let's go ahead and ask the same question here. I want to create a GPT with the purpose of a personal trainer. I don't have to spell everything perfect, so I'm going to do that. Okay, so here we go. To assist this endeavor, I'll look at resources that can provide comprehensive information on these topics. These resources, okay, perfect. So it seems like it's more of outline right now, which is fine. Maybe you just want to give me an overarching idea. Okay, we're going to go ahead and okay. See, this is what I like to see. Don't tell me to do anything, GPT. That's your job. My job is just to tell you what to do. Okay, here we go. Let's see what it comes up with. And as you see here, what's amazing is that right off the bat, we are provided with underlying links to these resources here. Now, I will say this. Some of these resources may be paywalled. Some of these resources may have ad blocks. Some of these, not everything is going to be perfect, but a good amount of these, when you click it, you could probably download a file that we can use in a knowledge base from here. So for example, let's go ahead and jump over to the first resource here. And as you see here, it keeps on going down. It actually looks like it might be going down everything here. So it's gone down the exercise database. Now it's looking for nutritional stuff. Let me go click a link real quick. Okay, so it has me at this first link. Let me go ahead and view details. Okay, so not bad. You could, in theory, take you could scrape the website. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to make sure to ensure that it only provides us or it starts providing us with more downloadable resources. So I'm going to check out these other links real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and stop that real quick. I'm going to go and move myself over here again. I'm going to say, Okay, this is good, but we would prefer you provide resources we can upload to your knowledge base, which is files that are PDFs, Excels, CSVs, etc. See what it does here. See if it goes update. As we're getting closer here, it's able to, and it actually looks like it was going to go pretty far there and provide us a ton of information, but you can still access and receive data from the sources it came, but I want to make it as simple as possible where it's providing me sources that I can just download it and then add it directly to my GPT. Okay, let's rerun the same question here so we can kind of make the underlying variable consistent here. I'm gonna see if I can save this. For right now, I'll just save it to myself. Actually, might as well make it public, so we're gonna confirm that because I will put this in the description down below. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. And let's go ahead and proceed from here. We're gonna go ahead and say, okay, jumping over here. Let me go and jump back over there. Okay, so look at search right now, free, downloadable. You know, that's what's really cool about GPT as well that was comparative to earlier versions is that we didn't actually see what it was doing, but now we're actually seeing in the front end how it's interacting with certain inquiries. Nutrition information CSV, free download. So pretty cool stuff here. Let's see what it comes up with. Okay, so it's providing us links here. Let's go and test one. Okay, you can download free workout plans from various fitness websites such as. Okay, so this is giving us a reference point on basically different websites we can download this on. Let's go ahead and see if we can get better ones here. Okay. Okay, so view workout. Okay, so we can download it right there. That's pretty cool. So this is finding more probably downloadable stuff. Notice how it's a bunch of different niches too. So it wasn't just workout plans. It looks like there's nutritional stuff here. If we go to the food data, went to a government site here. A bunch of CSV we can download for in regards to data when it comes to nutritional. Let's go ahead and come back here. So it seems like so far we've gotten a good idea when it comes to downloadable files for our knowledge base. I'm going to go ahead and proctor scan. I'm going to say, okay, I like how we provide downloadable files for our, you know what, I'm going to do something real quick because essentially what's going on here is we're slowly building out instructions bigger and bigger, right? So this is basically how this thing operates is this thing. So what I'm going to do before I add the next layer of complexity to this GPT is I'm going to copy this. I'm going to save this into like notes because if I go down the wrong direction and it starts giving me some crazy outputs that's completely wrong, this is going to be my way of basically having to roll back to a previous GPT version that actually worked more effectively. So right now, we're going to go ahead and quote unquote call this our rollback to it can download or give me resources to download. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this real quick. All right, so now that I've downloaded it, okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and reiterate its purpose again because as you see, it renamed it to GPT Customizer and File Finder. Don't be too specific on me here, GPT. I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, great. We now can find downloadable files for our knowledge base for the GPTs we create. Let's go. Remember, your overall purpose is to help us create GPTs for any use case. I'm gonna go ahead and do this. Now let's add another capability you will have, which will be helping us make custom actions for GPT. Are you ready to help? So the reason I do stuff like "Are you ready to help?" isn't just because like I'm just trying to have a conversation with it. It's more because sometimes if you're familiar with using GPT or ChatGPT in the past, if you don't say like, "Hey, this is what I'm doing. Does this sound good?" It will just go down these random tangents, random rabbit holes. It'll give you like 6 steps to do X, Y, Z. It's like, no, chill. I just need you to know where we're at, and then I'm gonna provide you with more information here so we can actually do what we want to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and let it do what it wants to do right here, and then we can go ahead and proceed with the second half of this video, which is gonna be us making sure that it can also handle the ability to help us with code and custom actions. All right, so see, this is perfect. So as you see here, and as a rule of thumb, when you're proctoring your own GPTs, speak to it like this as well. Keep reminding it of its overall main goal it wants to achieve, and then you'll have your little nuance value points that you provide throughout the process. So, okay, and even here we go. Great. Now I'm equipped not only to find downloadable files to enhance GPT, but also to help you design custom actions for them. Whether it's creating, okay, so it says it can do it, but let's go ahead and make sure it actually can do it. So I'm going to go to configure here, and I'm going to go to add actions. And this is where I'm going to go ahead and get the overarching general structure of schema. So I'm going to go to Command A and Command C this, and we're going to go ahead and say, here we go. This is what we're going to do. We're going to say, okay, great. So with GPTs, we can do custom actions that allow us to access API outside of OpenAI. This API can either be no-auth, API key, or OAuth. Here is the structuring of the OpenAI schema in order to add these actions. Do you understand so far? Okay, notice how I'm not letting it go down a rabbit hole. I'm trying to rein it in. I'm like, no, do you understand? It says, yes, I understand. You're referring to the integration of custom actions into GPTs, which can interact with external APIs. These APIs can have different authentication methods. Okay, perfect. Good, and good. Okay. So here's what I want it to do. This is going to be super cool if this works. We're going to go ahead and do this. So let me go ahead and let it, do its full generation here. But here's how simple I want to make this, as this is going to help anyone in the context of making a GPT. I want to make it so that all I have to do is provide a link to the documentation. So in this context, documentation is kind of like a how to use manual when you buy an IKEA set. How do I build this table? That's what documentation means in the context of how do I access this software? I just want to provide the documentation, and I want to use its web browsing feature to basically tell me how to write the code. So here we're going to do, is there a specific API? Okay, we're going to say, and I'm going to go ahead and grab a documentation link real quick. So if you're messing around with APIs and you still are in the learning stages of really understanding it, you can check out this web. Why was I doing this? You can check out this website called newsapi.org. Basically, it gives you access to free API calls, but in the context of you actually will have an API key as well. So this is not going to be the no-auth video that you saw. There's going to be, you get an API key, simple sign up, but without further ado, all APIs will have documentation, right? How do we communicate with the software? So the purpose of this one is just to get headlines or just search everything. So the way we're going to do this though, is we're going to go ahead and, in theory, we could have it so when you're communicating with the GPT, I would encourage you to be like, okay, the function I want to do, the action I want to do, I'm not sure that's going to be cut off. I'll make sure this isn't cut off, but I want to basically use the endpoint of everything, or I want to use the endpoint of top lines. You would copy the link and provide or proceed from there. I'm just going to go ahead and get the alpha link, which is going to be /docs here, or the meta link. And I'll be like, okay, we want it so that when I provide a link to the documentation, you start off by providing all possible capabilities of the API, not to generate code yet, but rather tell me what I could do. And to proctor this, we're going to say, for example, we're going to go ahead and put that link here. For this documentation, you would tell us we could do. All right, so we're going to go ahead and grab this link real quick. We're going to say everything. And I'm going to be very specific here because I'm fine-tuning it, right? I'm not really, you don't have to do this, but I'm doing it so it gives you the best answers, right? So we're going to do everything, and we're going to do top headlines. And I'm just going to copy this because it knows what I'm talking about when I do this, but I just want to make sure it knows exactly how to give me the format. I'm going to hit enter here, and let's see what it does here. Now, what I'm hoping here, and I probably should have copied a rollback, is I'm hoping, actually, let's see if I can do this real quick. Command C. Okay, just in case it doesn't go crazy on me, it's like, okay, now we're only purpose is coding. No, no, no. Your purpose is a coding, file finder, and just overall helping us with the end use case of a GPT. All right, so this was probably a lot here for it to understand. But let's go ahead and let it load. All right, that's fine. Let's go ahead and regenerate it, or I'm gonna go and copy this just in case. I'm gonna regenerate this and try this again. Okay, so I'm running into errors a lot here. I'm gonna go ahead and back out. I'm gonna retry this. This is probably just due to the fact that basically half the world is using GPT right now. As you see here, it did remember the previous inquiry here, but just so I make sure that we don't go down no rabbit holes here, I'm also going to add a overarching sentence. I actually think this will help a lot for when you create your GPTs and when you're trying to add certain value points so you don't kind of lose direction of the overall value. I'm gonna add a sentence here saying, remember, your overall purpose is to help create GPTs for specific use cases. This is just one of your abilities. Now I'm gonna hit enter again here and try to see if we can get an output. As you see here, sometimes you just gotta refresh it, come back into the chat. It's like, you put your iPhone in water, you gotta put it in a rice bag. This is like the same thing here, just reload the page. You turn it on and off again. Okay, so it says it can do it, all right? It says it can do it. I am going to be extremely impressed if it actually can do it in one go here. So I'm gonna go ahead and said, okay, let's do this. Okay, we want to make a GPT that helps find the most recent events in the news. Can you provide me some downloadable files in the knowledge base? So the reason I'm starting off here is I want to make sure that it can just do this still. So we're gonna make sure we can do that still. And then once we confirm it can do that still, obviously we know the API that we just gave as an example was for news. So then we're gonna provide the API link for the news as well. So then we kind of layer the value. There was an error here. It looks like it's still going at it. Okay, so maybe there's an error because they couldn't find anything. But let's go and let it keep going here. I'm not really sure what knowledge-based files would be relevant in the context of news, so I'm not surprised that there was an error. Here we go. This offers refers. So actually, let me reformat this question. We're going to say, for the purpose of this, can you just find me files that help tell you how to communicate with the user in the context you are a news anchor. I know, really niche, really random, but let's see if it has the capability of this. So basically the idea here is like, maybe we get knowledge-based files that, that basically teaches it how to communicate as a news anchor. I think that'd be kind of cool. All right, so I'm gonna regenerate the response here. A lot of times the reason there's errors isn't necessarily because there's an issue with the inquiry. A lot of times it has to do with the fact that right now we're just dealing with a ton of, people using it. On top of that, this is very niche. I don't even know if this kind of information even exists. Like, is there a PDF that says like how to talk as a news anchor? So I might have to rephrase the question as well. All right, so I'm actually going to rephrase this question so it's more general. So for the purpose, I'm going to go ahead and do this. Find me PDFs on how to do journalism, and yeah, just do journalism. I mean, that's a very common. I think that's a college degree. I'm pretty sure that's a college degree. So do that. All right, let's hit submit here. It's going to regenerate. I mean, they should be able to find PDFs on journalism. I mean, I was asking how to find me a PDF on how to speak as a news anchor, which would be a really random PDF if that even existed. There we go. So we got a link here for journalism. Then we got a spreadsheet sample from a spreadsheet guru, if I can speak. Let's go ahead and see here. Okay, this is not perfect. That was really random. And then we got the site provides access to live breaking news. Okay, so then maybe it wants me to download maybe some news data for reference. So around the right idea. End of the day, this is super niche, super random, just because the API we're dealing with is news API. So what I'm gonna do here now is I'm gonna say, okay, help me create a custom action with this API. And then I'm providing the link to the docs. And then I may need a Proctor GPT to understand to use web browsing. Okay, it is doing it naturally here. Let's go ahead and see how it proceeds here and how it provides the answer. Okay, cool. So it actually was able to find it. Okay, this is amazing. So now what you can do is you can provide documentation links, and it'll tell you in layman terms what it can potentially do. So we already knew it can basically search everything. We also see here that it can do curated breaking news headlines. So that's the top headlines API webhook here. Okay, so that works. Let's go ahead and fine tune this a little bit more. Okay. Once you give, okay, I'm going to keep this sentence in here. I don't want to make sure, so I'm going to say remember, okay. So for the action creator ability, once you give the capabilities of the API, please ask us which one we want to use, and from there provide us the relevant code we need. Okay, and then overall OpenAI schema structuring. So I'm gonna go ahead and Command C this real quick because I'm gonna have to actually grab the structuring again. So I'm gonna come over here. Yes, it's an invalid action. And then let me make sure I paste this over somewhere else. All right, I'm gonna hit send message here, and let's see what it does here. Let's see if it's able to understand now that basically what I want it to do is that when it provides what the API documentation can do, then we could be like, hey, give it for curated breaking new headlines, give me the code, right? That's kind of the end goal of what it can do in this context. Okay, so it says it can work. One last thing I'm gonna add here just to help people troubleshoot. I'm gonna say, okay, perfect. One last thing for this specific action. If I get an error in the process, be ready for me to provide the JSON payload error and help troubleshoot. So you might be like, what is that? Don't worry. Basically, if you get an error on your GPTs, all you have to ask is this, coming specifically from actions and API. Provide me with the JSON payload error, and it's going to give you like little brackets, and it's basically going to say like an error name, a description, and it may even give you a code. You would copy that, and then you'd bring it to this. But here we go. Okay, perfect. One last thing. If it gets an error, okay. Okay, enter here. This should be good to go. We should be green lighted, and I should be able to go ahead and test this out on the front end. All right, it says it's good to go. One last thing I want to add here is I'm gonna add a cool little profile pic. It's a profile pic of me drinking coffee. Amazing. Okay, GPT customizer, file finder, and action creator, description, instructions. One last thing though, I wanted to go ahead and change the conversation starters. Okay, let me do that. Okay, can we update our conversation starters to showcase all of our abilities when helping to create GPTs? This should be the cherry on top here. And then we're gonna go ahead and create a GPT that's gonna be a Pokemon GPT, where it basically allows us to find databases that's relevant to Pokemon and also use an API called Poke API. Not Pokeballs, but Poke API that allows us to do some type of API of Pokemon. Okay, cool. So find a file to enhance my GPT, customize my GPT with specific API, troubleshoot this error of my GPT code. Oh man, I'm already excited. Okay, so let me go ahead and confirm this real quick. Let's go and save this. Let me jump over to the GPT and wow, let me just begin here. Okay, this is super cool here. So let me go ahead and jump over here. I'm actually super excited. I'm testing it live with y'all. Okay, so we're gonna say, okay, we are going to build a GPT that knows everything about Pokemon. We just do that first. Let's see what it does first. Sounds like a fun and engaging project to build a GPT that specializes in Pokemon knowledge. We'll need to gather and integrate comprehensive information about Pokemon. Here is how we can approach data collection. Okay, file types. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to do something general here, and I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, can you find me like two files? Can you find me some files that I could upload to our knowledge base to make it better? All right, let's go ahead and enter here. Let's not hit enter here. Okay, let me try this again. So maybe wait until it's done generating before you do that. Okay, can you find me some files I can upload to my knowledge base to make it better? All right, let's go ahead and enter here. Let's not hit enter here. Okay, let me try this again. So maybe wait until it's done generating before you do that. Okay, can you find me some files I can upload to my knowledge base to make it better? All right, let's go ahead and enter here. Now, one thing I want to point out as well is actually I'm not too sure if this infringes on anything with OpenAI when it comes to doing Pokemon. I have no clue, but I mean, obviously, I'm not going to launch this GPT. This is purely for educational purposes. But first, let's see if they can find anything in regards to PDFs that we can download or Excels. Side note, someone can make a really cool GPT that is maybe focused on like the Pokemon card market, baseball card market, all these different niche trade markets that happen on eBay and stuff like that. This seems like a potential as well. Okay, so we got a data set here. If I click this, oh yeah, we definitely got it. Okay, so supposedly this has a bunch of abilities here. Wow, this is crazy. There is so much resources on this. Okay, so a bunch of stuff we can download here. Okay, there's a start here. It's gonna keep going here. Okay. Actually, I'm not gonna do that. We're gonna go ahead and come over to Poke API. So this is gonna be our API docs here. Typically, you'll see a docs in the actual underlying URL. And what I mean by that is if you see this, you'll see docs right here. So keep that in mind when you upload the alpha or like just like the overarching documentation. As you see, GPT now has the ability to kind of dive through it. So we're gonna say, okay, perfect. Thank you for the files. Can we also maybe add some custom actions with this question mark, and then put the documentation file link right here. As you see, it is searching through the API documentation that I provided. Poke API, I think it's completely free from my understanding. I don't even think it requires an API key, so I think it's actually just a no auth, which is really simple integration. Okay, so as you see here, Poke API is a consumption-only API offering only HTTP GETs, so receiving data, method for accessing resources. As you see here, no authentication is required. That is fantastic. It requires no API key. Basically, you don't have to pay money. As you see here, I mean, look at this. It's already giving me an example. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. Okay, I think we just created something super cool, guys. Berry lookup. Okay, so berry must be a very specific type of Pokemon. So the way this works, though, just so you understand, is as you see here for this specific query, we're looking at cherry berry, and it'll look up that Pokemon. So the way actions will work, though, in this context is that you'll probably have an action that's basically a lookup action that then GBT inputs the different variable points to get the relevant information. So let's go ahead and see if we can do that. We're going to say, okay, let's do a custom action for lookup. What would the code look like? Question mark. Okay, so this is not actually outputting how it should output. That's fine. I need to go ahead and let me go to update and fine tune the GPT again. So we're getting the schema rather than this Python. Okay, just so I can show y'all live and you can understand troubleshooting, I'm going to say for our outputs, when it comes to asking for the code of a custom action for GPT, we are getting Python. We want to make it clear that the only code to output will be JSON, and more important, make sure it is structured like this. Okay, and I made sure to actually save the instructions as well, just in case it goes down the rabbit hole here, but let's go ahead and see if it does it correct. All right, so I'm going to also make sure it adds a operation ID. As I've known from previous outputs, it doesn't typically add this. So we're going to say, okay, make sure to also include this in the output. And give it relevant name. So if you're not familiar with what an operation ID is, I explained that in our playlist up here, so you want to check it out. Basically, it's our way of calling upon actions within a GPT. Pretty fundamental stuff here, so make sure to check out that video. But let's go ahead and just have it, make sure it includes that in the JSON payload here. And then we're going to jump back over to our chat here. It also changed my picture to this like random highway. No. We're going to go back to me. But we're going to go ahead and test it out here. We're going to go ahead and see if it works with the Poke API. We're back at it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add in product for the download files. We know that works. It knows, oh wow, this is amazing. Okay, so it knows we're talking about the schema. So for an example here, we're just going to go ahead and say, okay, show me an example for the look up get request. So maybe I need to kind of add, there's an actual issue here again. We're going to regenerate. There we go, y'all. This is super, super cool stuff here. I'll make sure to put this in the description down below. Let me know in the comments if you run into any issues or like if there's any suggestions, because I can go ahead and update the backend for this GPT. But look at this, y'all. This is so cool. So one thing I want you to notice right off the bat, you use the correct link and it's structuring it to exactly how we want it in the context of OpenAI schema. Now we can do the custom action of calling upon this API for looking up some Pokemons. Pretty cool stuff here, y'all. All right, so that just about does it, y'all. This is probably one of the coolest video I've done so far on GPTs. Now that you can use it as well to help you start building out GPTs. Go ahead and check out my Twitter here if you want to hear just random thoughts on AI or just really random stuff. Like I ate a pretty big breakfast today. I tend to eat big breakfasts on Sundays. It's kind of like my go-to. It's kind of like a routine now. But you can also check me out on TikTok where I'm just talking about the AI industry and just, random stuff. You can kind of hear me talk about different topics with a much more like, 1v1, I guess. Or not 1v1. This isn't like Rust. But without further ado here, if you felt like you learned something in today's video, go ahead and leave a like. It's completely free. If you want to learn more about the GPTs and what's coming up here, basically this new age, like the new iOS store, go ahead and check out the playlist at the end here as I'm diving into all of its capabilities on how to make private ones, public ones, API requests, everything you need to know when it comes to this new store that's emerging here. And it's real applicable data here, so we can learn a ton of stuff together here. But without further ado, I'll see you in the next video.
Thanks for tuning in. And yes, surprise, I'm an AI avatar. Make sure to explore more here at Corbin AI, where we demystify AI for your personal and business life. Until next time.